hello, and welcome to the Cycle Starters podcast. I'm your host, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and here we talk about all things ancestral healing, astrology, and pleasure as transformative medicine. In today's powerful episode, Victoria will share insights about embracing the wisdom that comes with perimenopause, exploring new dimensions of intimacy, and maintaining a flourishing career during this transformative life phase. We'll dive deep into alternative healing methods, discuss the importance of pleasure in women's lives, and explore how to restore the sacred connection to our bodies. Whether you're approaching perimenopause, currently experiencing it, or simply want to understand this important life transition better, this episode offers valuable wisdom for everyone. So Victoria brings a unique blend of professional expertise and personal understanding to this often overlooked topic. And I know you'll appreciate her practical, empowering approach to women's health and wellness. So let's welcome Victoria Honey and dive into this important conversation about reclaiming our power. Hi, Victoria.
I am so honored to be here. So excited.
I am so honored that you are here, and I'm also excited to see you. How are you doing today?
Doing super fabulous. Had a great day. I was just presenting about thriving in perimenopause at Amazon for the Women International Day, which is so big. Beautiful audience. I was just crazy. I mean, lots of questions and also people sharing their shame or the taboo around perimenopause. So it was such a great day. I'm so excited.
Well, congratulations. I love that you are out in the world spreading the gospel, educating people, but also empowering women, empowering female-bodied beings who are, like I said, approaching perimenopause in it, or just trying to make sense of what has happened, over the past few years when it comes to their bodies and whatnot. So I want to start with your ancestry and your ancestors. So what do you feel comfortable sharing about what you know about your ancestors?
I don't really know a lot. I do know that there is a lot of course, when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to perimenopause around that topic, a lot of people don't talk about it. We have to come across as powerful women. We have to come across as strong women. We are caretakers for our leaders. My mom was a caretaker as well as a business owner. Also, I know that my ancestors or my mother and my father's side, my ancestors from their side, is they kind of really follow the tradition of the goddesses of the goddess of ocean. And the goddess of ocean is the woman of sensuality, the woman of prosperity, and the woman of strength. So, there could be a shadow side around it because women are always women. I mean, women from female bodies are always human beings, and we have some weaknesses. We have hormonal dysfunction or hormonal imbalances that might happen. So no matter what it is that you've inherited for your ancestors, these are things that happen at the body level, which have never been spoken about. So I know that as well. So from just talking about, from my ancestors as well, just putting it out there.
I love it. Okay, so just to clarify for people who are unfamiliar with Oshun, this is part of Nigerian mythology, right?
Yes. It's the
Okay.
goddess, one of the goddess. So we have goddess and gods back in Nigeria as well. But we have two female, which is the Oshun and the Yemia, which are goddesses in Nigeria. And my parents, especially my mother, was one of the people that honored the goddess. And I've inherited some belief around it as well. But yes, they are goddesses from Nigeria.
Beautiful. Okay, so I know that you're a mother to two beautiful daughters. And I think in our last conversation, you said that you were starting to share some of this Nigerian goddess mythology with them, passing that down. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that at all? How's that been?
Totally. It's been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to the extent where the house that we bought 6 months ago, we have a beautiful river behind my house that all of us, we can actually put our feet in because the goddess ocean is all about the water, the goddess of the sea, the goddess of sensuality. And that's one of the things that I wanted to align with because my mother did inherit a lot of scripts and prayers and strength and powers from the goddess themselves. And when I was working on this journey myself a couple of years ago, I think during COVID, I decided to step into understanding the goddess of Nigeria because, people talk about Tantra and all the other goddesses, but I felt like there was something about the goddess in Nigeria that people had made so bad. But
Mm-hmm.
years ago, hundreds of years ago, these goddesses were used to have healing power. People were able to use those power to give birth naturally, get pregnant naturally, and things like that. And women were stepping into their boldness and their power and sensuality around those times. Now there's a bit of a shadow side back. Nowadays, I mean, people use it for all other things, all kinds of things. So that's why a lot of people went into Christianity or things like that. But I just wanted to tap into the beauty of it. So about 5 years ago, or more than that, I think, I started to tune into my mother because my mother has passed away a while
Mm-hmm.
back. And I started to go into a ritual relationship with her to get some answers that how can I really connect with the goddess of Nigeria, Oshu in particular, in a very authentic and powerful way that makes me feel like a goddess myself. Because
Mm.
I believe that I am a goddess. All of us are
Yes.
goddesses, right? We have some
Yes.
strength inside of us. And, over time, she shares some tips, healing strength and healing tips for me. And I want to hand this over. I'm alive. I am present. I am now. I matter. These goddesses' stories matter. Their strength are in me. Their juiciness are in me as well. So I've been able to, share some stories about my mother, share some stories about some goddesses. I mean, there's some YouTube videos as well. Share the beautiful human that she is and how powerful she is, how she influenced her relationship with her partner, how she strengthened her partner, how we are collaborative with our partner, how we are empowering for our partner, and we can work. We have a collaborative relationship, especially if you're with a man or a woman, whatever it is, but we have a collaborative relationship. We can infuse knowledge and wisdom to our partners where they can thrive in all aspects of our life. So I wanted to see that. I wanted to infuse that or teach my kids that belief. So over time, I let them see how I am also infusing that in my business, showing up in all areas of my life, online, on stage, on podcast, letting them know that there's wisdom inside of me. And I was also teaching that to them to let them know that they have some wisdom, they have some strength that I have inherited from my parent, from their goddesses, and that's all in me. And also I've transferred it in their DNA, no matter what. I mean, they can shift it and say they want something else, but it's still in their DNA. And I wanted to help them amplify it to the extent where 6 months after, I decided to call in a home that was literally close to water, I thought, or sea, or I thought. And then I have right behind my house, there's this nice, beautiful stream. And my kids said, Mom, the goddesses are with us. They just really want us to honor the goddesses that my mother was worshiping. And we are right here in Europe. And my mom wants me to honor the goddess inside of me, amplify the goddess inside of me, and also teach them to be able to do that. So from weekends, most important, during the weekends, we love to go in and we put our feet into the cold stream behind our home and we drop roses, we drop our
Mm.
prayers in it, we drop our desires in it. And it's just such a beautiful experience so far. Beautiful.
Hearing that, well, it sounds like they have been very receptive to this and that they're embracing it. So how beautiful that you get to share this with them. Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. So I am so curious. When did the concept of ancestral healing or intergenerational healing even enter your consciousness? When did you realize this is a thing, right? Like perhaps what's happening in my life is a pattern that's been repeating through the generations. When did you first realize this?
I realized this, I think a few years after I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's really related to business. They always say sometimes when we start a business, we start our healing journey. And I remember, just hitting an income level, maybe 5,000 a month. That's all I could reach. And it would just be, maybe I'll even reach that 5,000 within 2 days. But then I was self-sabotage to the extent where I would never go past that,
Mm.
for that month. And then the following month, all I need to do is just make 5,000 and I'm good to go. So I had that story hidden in my heart, in my head. And then one day I went to my sister's and, we were out for dinner. And of course I could pay for the dinner. And then she was asking me, why is it that I decide to follow the path of my mother? My mother served the goddesses. And she died really young. I think she died before she was 60. She died. And she was like, you are in your 40s and you are deciding to become an entrepreneur like your mom. And she died. She assumed that she died because she was a mother, because she was an entrepreneur. So she was like, well, your mom had her own business. She overworked herself. She ended up dying. Now you are going to do the same. You are going to start your business, overwork yourself, and you're going to die way early. What are you teaching your kids? And as soon as she said that, it triggered something inside of me. Why would she think that I am going to die because I chose the independent way, the entrepreneurial way? Because she was like, she had a 9 to 5 job. She's really good doing what she does, but she thought I was going to die. And I was like, wow, I need to shift this narrative around being independent, having your own business and dying way young. Because maybe that's why I'm not breaking through the income ceiling. That's why I'm having fear around it after I'm not showing up fully in my business. So that's the first thing that triggered it. That's when I started to become aware of maybe there was a pattern because she brought it to my attention. I was even scared myself. Maybe that was why I was not pushing my limit, not pushing my limit, but not breaking through my income ceiling month to month. And I decided to go on an ancestral healing. And the first thing I did really was to ask my mother, call her forth, her energy forth, and ask her, what is it that really took you away from us? Was it because you followed your desire? Or was it just because imbalance or illness? Because if it's illness, we can separate it. It's not linked. Then I can thrive in my career. But if it's business, then I need to do some healing on that. But because my sister brought it to my awareness, I knew that I had to dig deeper on it because I knew that I wanted to choose the entrepreneurial path. That is just it. No way back. But if I have that story repeating itself, there's no way I would thrive in my business. And I would even project that on my kids if they desire to go on that route themselves.
Thank you for sharing all of that. That's so powerful. Well, so when we first met inside of the Divine Living Academy, so we were in a coaching program together, and this was like, oh, it's almost like 10 years ago. It's so
More than that,
wild how,
yeah.
yeah, more. I mean, time has just flown by. So from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you were not focused on supporting female body beings going through menopause when you first started. So how did you even decide to become an entrepreneur? And then also tell me a little bit about how the focus of your practice has changed and evolved.
Totally. I love sharing this story. When I started with the Divine Living, I was literally a security guard. I wasn't a business owner at all. I was like a security guard. And I'm pretty sure I found Gina DeVries online and with her Facebook ad at the time. I was a security guard and I wanted to break my pattern because she was, preaching the mindset work and breaking through the pattern. And I really wanted to break through the pattern. So I was a security guard, not necessarily successful at it, making maybe a little over 1,000 a month at the time. And I joined her world. That's how I actually got introduced to the coaching world. Thank God, because some people work with therapists. I mean, I didn't choose that path. I work with coaches. Therapists are amazing, but coaches were the people that really inspired me forward. So I joined that world for a while. And then I started to shift my mindset around money, try to work my business, started as a personal branding expert. To be honest, I wasn't an expert at it. I wasn't really good at it, but I was still managing and just paying my bills here and there, surviving. And then eventually I got into the work of sexuality, which was the biggest shift that I had because sexuality is embodiment. You're really going deeper at the body. Stock energy are all there and, it all just comes alive right away. And then I went into that work, which was with another coach called Leila Martin. And with that work, all I just wanted to do was heal my sexuality. I just go into these programs mostly to heal myself. And then I went into that work, healed myself. And then over time, I started my coaching business as a sexual empowerment coach, sex coach. And that was pretty much how it is. And over time, with the mindset work, doing the ancestral healing, and knowing that I have trauma, I have some limiting belief, working on the healing my relationship with my mother, healing my relationship with money, healing my relationship with my body, stepping into empowerment, reclaiming my worth, reclaiming my value and things like that. I started to build my business as a sexologist. I like to call myself a sexologist and lots because it's a lot easier. People don't really like to hire coaches in some countries. They think they're
Hmm.
not regulated. But I worked on that. It was really, really good. And then, of course, over time, social media went crazy with sex coaches and stuff like that. My business started to tumble around COVID. But then I realized that, the women I was working with, they're all in their 40s. I'm in my 40s as well. And one of the biggest topic was I have pussy dryness all the time. And there's just so much you can do with JDEC. I just felt like there was something beyond it, which means wellness. Wellness is so important. They need to take charge of their health. And I decided to do some work on that, get certified in some, health coaching certification and menopause certification. And over that, my business kind of moved into perimenopause menopause as well. I think one of the biggest thing is knowing my value, doing my ancestral healing, knowing that my voice matters, my medicine matters, and not dropping off the radar. Because when I realize that my medicine matters, people are out there that the creator of all that has aligned me to work with, to create a shift with, to create miracles with. They are waiting for me to show up. So I had to do my healing work. I have to do my energetic work. I have to do my biological work with my body. I had to build my knowledge. I had to do my ancestral healing, because it's one thing that you're failing in business and you drop out and then you say, oh, you know what? This is not the right time. Everything is not working out. And then you get a job. Not saying that any job is bad. Jobs are amazing. But my calling was bigger. My calling was to do this kind of work. So by doing the inner work, shifting all the burden or the limiting belief I had, I found a way to have my voice being heard, to be seen in a beautiful way. So now I've moved from being a security guard to a personal branding to a sexologist to a perimenopause empowerment specialist.
Well, thank you for saying yes to walking this path. Thank you for having the courage to do this ancestral healing, to do your energetic work, because I'm sure you know this is not an easy road. It's not for everybody. There's so many ups and downs on this journey. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to do this work in this lifetime. So I've learned, over the course of my own journey and then my practice, is that you can't drag people to this. People really have to be self-motivated to do it. So yeah, thank you for doing it. So for those of you who are new to my work, I am an astro ancestral healing guide. I do DEI training and consulting. I read charts. I love astrology. And so what I created a few years ago was a monthly membership for female-bodied cycle breakers and cycle starters to alchemize ancestral wounds into spiritual gifts, creative potential, shifts to higher consciousness, and embodied joy with astrology and pleasure as transformative medicine. And one of the perks of this monthly membership, in addition to the new moon pleasure practices and dance parties that I lead, I invite a guest expert to lead an experience for people in the membership. It's included for them, but also for people who are not in the membership. And I'm so happy to share that Victoria was our guest expert in May of 2024. Thank you so much. Your presentation, the experience that you led was so powerful. It was so empowering. I learned so much about perimenopause, and yeah, it was great because, I'm turning 47 this month. I'm definitely going through this. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. So this is in our Astro Ancestral Healing Collective resource library for folks to watch as many times as they want. For anybody who's interested in experiencing this workshop, what would you tell them in order to get the most out of it? So it's called Pussy Roar, My Body Is Not Broken. So yeah, what would you tell people about it?
I would tell them that first, they actually need to know the reason why they want to take charge of their body.
Mm,
Because a lot of people always say they're not in perimenopause. That's what happens with all my clients. They'll say, I'm not there. There's nothing wrong with me. So they will never do the work. That's why perimenopause is a topic that is not being recognized. People talk about menopause a lot
hmm
because that is well known. But then I always say the first 10 to 15 years of your life is the years before menopause. Why do you have to live a life of mediocre? Why do you have to live a life of pain? Why do you have to suffer through your life or drop out from the radar, not perform at your brilliance? Why is it that you have to be angry woman, painful sex, and things like that? A lot of people always wait for the corrective care. Or they're already in menopause and then they are on the HRT and things like that. And then they are already gone. But I'm like, well, a lot of us in our 40s are not even given the HRT. They're
Right.
saying you're not on perimenopause or you're not in menopause, they would say. They won't give it to us, which means we have to suffer through it. We just have to work our way through it. 15 years of our lives where we could be shining. Some of us have babies right now, and we are just miserable, tired, insomnia, putting on the weight, having low self-worth, losing our hair, perhaps even losing our job. Some of us are divorced because of all these symptoms that we might have. So this is the time for us to start to take care of our health. So my reason for change is I wanted to be a source of strength and inspiration for my kids. I wanted to do that. That's why I did this work. That's why I decided to take charge of my health. I wanted to live a life of independence, joy, and making beautiful memories for my kids. That's why I decided to do this work. That's why I would invite people to do the procedure. I wanted to embrace a life of vitality and self-sufficiency, enriching my children's life with love and wisdom. That's why I did this work. That's why I'm inviting them to do the procedure. If you want to thrive at this stage of your life, you need to do the procedure. You need to take matters in your hand. Because when I stepped into perimenopause, even to this day, people always say I'm not in perimenopause. They'll say, oh, your hormones are okay. Everything is beautiful. You don't have to do anything. I'm the one that was losing hair. I'm the one that have the insomnia. I'm the one that have a dry vagina, painful sex. I was the one that was losing motivation that almost killed my business.
Mm,
I was the one that had mood swing that couldn't handle my kids. And they
mm.
already have their own mood swing. They're teenagers. So we're both
Right.
having a hormonal crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the one that had it. But the doctor said, oh no, you're great. Suffer through to your 50 something when your blood menstruation stopped. And I'm like, wow, I have to wait till then to take charge of my health. So I stepped into it when I was 45. I'm 48 now. So 3 years of suffering. And I'm pretty sure I was probably in it earlier because I had alopecia way earlier before that. So nobody told me about anything. And I had depression because of it, because our hair is our beauty. When you have no hair and you have a patch, it's a problem. When you put in on weight, when you don't want to, like the belly area, you feel lack of confidence. When you feel you can't sleep and you have to wake up and go to a 9 to 5 job, and your brain is not healing enough, and your boss, your executive person, obviously you want to step down, or you want to probably take a junior role or just stay at a senior role because you feel like you're not capable of holding lots of things. So what would you do to take matters in your hand? You don't need to have a medical prescription to do Pusiror. You don't need HRT to do Pusiror. All you need to do is take charge of your health. You know the symptoms. We have more than, people talk about 20, but I have a list of 99 symptoms that we have,
My
which means
goodness.
all of us have something.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have something. We don't need medication to treat these, especially if they don't give it to us. All it means is taking matters in our hands, doing the practices, ancestral healing, mindset, inner child healing, doing the body work, health, nutrition, movement, pleasure practices. A lot of those practices helps us. And then finally, when they just decide to give it to us, HRT, that's fine too. So that's why I would invite them to the procedure, to be able to do the work, take matters in their hands and take care of themselves. People step into perimenopause when you're 35, way early. Not everybody step into it later than mine, like 45. Menopause is 45 after, but also I can question that. Some people step into menopause way early as well. No right away, right or wrong way of doing this. Some people start menopause early because they took their womb out or they had a hysterectomy. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's really no, there's no right or wrong way of saying this than for us to just say, oops, I'm ready. I'm going to take care of my health. I don't need to have perimenopause or menopause labeled on my head. I don't need to tell anybody about this. I just need to take charge of my health. It's the beginning and there's more work to be done.
Mm. Tell it. I love it. You are so powerful, and I love the conviction in your voice. You are so passionate about this, and I'm so thankful and grateful for you for taking the initiative to be a leader in this space. I think we need to be talking about this so much more. Women, female body beings really need support and empowerment around this. And I think that's the main message that you're sharing right now is get in the driver's seat of your life, you know? This is really, really awesome. So if you are interested in experiencing Victoria's workshop, Pussy Roar, My Body Is Not Broken, you can go to heatherrebeccawilson.com and sign up for the Astro Ancestral Healing Collective. That is my paid membership. I also just started a free healing community where you can receive my newsletter, get 10% off of all my offerings. That is called the Cycle Starters Sanctuary. So I will put that link in the show notes. And of course, I will put all of Victoria's links in the show notes as well. So yeah, such a great workshop. It was so wonderful. And I'm hoping also that you'll put your profile up in the community so that people know where to go to find you as well. In the collective, in the membership, we do engage with astrology along with pleasure and jade egg as medicine along our ancestral healing journeys. And so I want to steer the conversation towards astrology a little bit because our viewers, our community, they're very interested in astrology, as am I. That's why I'm doing this. So I wanted to know if you knew your sun, moon, and rising sign, and if you felt comfortable sharing with us.
I don't know what it is, to be honest, but yeah, maybe there's something we can dive
You
into.
know your sun sign though. Like, when's your birthday?
I know that one. I'm Aries. Yeah.
Okay, so am I. What date?
16th of April.
April 16th. So, well, we can say a lot there. So I am also an Aries sun. My birthday, my solar return is March 23rd. So your sun sign is basically where the sun was the day that you were born. And this is where you shine. This is the special sauce that you mix into everything that you do that makes you stand out from the 11 other signs. And each sign is a spectrum of psycho-spiritual energy with a high expression and a low expression. So you being an Aries sun, what it says to me that is that you are a natural born leader. This is where you shine because Aries represents the element and the modality of cardinal fire. And fire is passion and inspiration and intuition and that creative spark. And when an element is in a cardinal modality, it means that it is the initiating passion. It's the initiating fire, right? So you're really good at starting things. And definitely throw back anything that doesn't resonate. But Aries is a natural born leader. Like I said, they're an entrepreneur. They're a pioneer. You know, when someone says, I need a volunteer to go explore this territory that nobody's gone through before, Aries is like, oh, okay, I'll go. Like, no problem. Like, and even though I would say all the water signs are very psychic and intuitive, my experience is that Aries is also very psychic and intuitive because when you go out ahead of everybody else, when there's no one ahead of you telling you where to go or what to do, you have to be so connected to source and to the unseen realms to get the inspiration and the direction in terms of where to go next, right? You got to be tuned in, right? Because you're blazing your own path. So would you say that this resonates with you? Like you shine in this area of just starting things and being brave and being a leader?
Great one. Great one. Great one. I love that you said that. I also like to hear the shadow side of this. So
Ooh.
when it comes to perimenopause, especially in Luxembourg anyway, or in Europe generally, because we have like big people in the States talking about menopause already. I mean, they really just started to own it maybe a couple of years, 5 years, maybe. So I'm the big one. I'm owning it in Luxembourg and also in Europe. So I have that going on. And I realized that I'm a solo person in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, recently I had somebody made a comment on my LinkedIn page because I'm on LinkedIn a lot because it's easier to get corporate gigs. And then somebody said, oh, if you talk less about menopause or perimenopause, you will get better engagement and you would have a lot more following. And I'm like, Well, this is my expertise. I love talking about sexuality. I love talking about perimenopausal wellness. I'm not anything else. So you're literally telling me that I will not build an audience. And I said, watch me, literally, watch me. Give me a couple of months. I said 12, I said 3 months, but give me some months and I would own it on in the industry on LinkedIn. So I had that like there with her. I didn't like fire her, but I just told her, and I will be the one that women will be sharing on Instagram. So that was it. So trailblazing, yeah, you're so right. And to be able to be a trailblazer, you need to connect. You need to connect with source. And that's one of the biggest things that I've started to lean on to. I had to do a lot of healing work with that, ancestral healing work with that, to be honest, because for me, being in Europe and being in a country where there's a lot of white people, I always felt like I had to compare myself. They're
Yeah.
better, they're
Yeah.
prettier, they're skinnier, and my voice doesn't matter. Also because my parents never validated my voice as well. So I couldn't find it internally. I was looking for external approval. So I wasn't getting it on social media. So if you're not getting it on social media, you think you're not worthy as well. So media affirms something that you're not worthy of inside of you. I had to do a lot of healing work, ancestral work, also I had to affirm myself and say I am worthy. I can shine in this body. There's a lot of work that I had to do to be able to claim that. So now that I'm a trailblazer, I had to connect to source. I'm like the only one in the field doing my work. Of course, there are lots of other people, but you can't be comparing. You can't be following other people because that's when you drown in comparison syndrome as well. I'm like, okay, connected to source. What is it that you want to channel through me? Am I going to create a movement around this? And so totally right, totally right. But then I have a shadow side around it too. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm happy to share. Thank you for sharing that story. So the low expression of Aries is that we're childish, like we're the first sign of the zodiac. We initiate spring. I would say, the spring equinox, when the sun moves into Aries, that's the beginning of the astrological year. That is the first day of spring. The high expression, like I said, is like pioneering, very brave, initiating, entrepreneurship. And then the low expression is, we can be, I would say, impatient because we like to move fast. We want to move fast with everything. We can be impatient. We can be childish. We can be selfish. I mean, just think of like all of you know, the challenging qualities of a child, even though they have childlike wonder, right? There's so many wonderful qualities that children have. There's also the selfishness, right? Because they're very self-absorbed, but that's natural because that's just how child development goes, right? Like at first it's like all about you and, this is my world and everyone else is living in it, So the underdeveloped, the unevolved Aries person will sometimes exhibit those qualities. So, it's just like a high expression and a low expression with every sign. So I would say definitely impatience. And also we're great at starting things, but we may not be so great at finishing things. And it's also leaping before looking, right? We just jump into something without having done our research, without having done our due diligence. And so, over time, once I realize, oh, yeah, maybe I like say yes to things, I dive into things before really considering the consequences or the impact of it. So I'm a little bit more mindful of that. But that's also our superpower is that we're not afraid to start. We're not afraid to just dive in. I just think we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful that that's our default to just be like, let's go. So we're a lot of fun. And also that Aries can have a temper too. All that fire. It's like a volcano of fire. So do you know your birth time by any chance?
No, I don't know my birth sign.
Okay. So I would love to read your chart. We'll do a rectified chart. We can talk about that offline. But yeah, I would
Oh,
love to read your chart because we'll still get a lot of information in terms of your unique energetic signature, your purpose, your ancestral wounds, your healing powers. The chart says everything. It's
mm.
amazing. It's really amazing. So I look forward to doing that for you at some point.
Yay!
Yeah,
Me
thank
too.
you. Thank you for sharing your sun sign with us. I'm always so interested. I could talk astrology all day long. So, okay, the question I have for you now is with all the ancestral healing work that you've done, What would you say if you really had to put a fine point on it? What are the cycles that you're breaking in this life?
Unworthiness is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Worthiness and deservingness is a big one for me. So that's that. That's the first one. I would say, let me just drop in a bit more. The second one for me is, as women, we are not allowed to shine. We are just the shadow of our partners, of our masters, of our husbands as well. So we're not allowed to shine. With the, divorce rate quite big right now, and women are, taking ownership, paying their own bills, we have to shine. So giving myself permission to shine is a big one. Being seen as a powerful leader, as a powerful woman, because I've always been breadwinners in my relationship, always been. Not that it's something I desire, but it's also been something that when you were talking about where people jump into things without thinking and analyzing and just going with it and join with the flow, that's also determined a lot of my marital situation. But nowadays I'm very conscious, not because I'm conscious of fear. I'm just conscious where I know my brilliance. I want to shine. I want somebody that can amplify my light, not somebody that makes me like deem myself or I have to pretend or I let go of who I am just because I want to be in someone else's container. So nowadays I'm really conscious of that. So if I'm going to start a relationship, I'm like, I'm already burning. I'm already blazing. Who is it that is my partner in blazing aloud loud? Not like I'm have to dim my light for that particular person. So for me, I'm already blazing. I'm a big voice myself. And there could be a lot of trigger around that for a lot of African women or Nigerian women themselves. I have my own money, I have my own house. So be like, okay, you can't find a lover, you can't find a great partner because you're too independent. You have your own mother, you have your own money, you have your own kids, you have your own business, whatever. Breaking the ancestral that I have to pretend, I have to lie that I'm not great because I'm literally great. I'm fire. So
Yes.
I don't want to lie about that. So breaking that ancestral belief that I don't have to shine, that I always have to be humble, that I have to just be beneath someone. Somebody have to guide me. That's a big one that I had to shift. And also a third one would be, first one was unworthiness. The second one that I have to dim my light. And then the third one is that I have to it's still the same one. Like I can't shine. I can't be unapologetic in my pleasure because that means you're dirty. Like if you're like trying to explore anything that you want to explore outside the box of monogamy, like
Mm-hmm.
missionary sex, you are
Mm-hmm.
dirty. There's something wrong with you. You've slept with hundreds of men. That's a big one too. So I've been able to shift that as well. Like, no, I can be in my pleasure, know what my body was. I know what is nourishing for my body, for my organ, for my nervous system. I know what that is. I know how to set boundaries and I know how to have conversation with you to know that I am not cheating or doing anything crazy, but this is what lights me up as well. So being in that pleasuring container as well, I've been able to break that no, I don't have to do what my man expects. I can do whatever I want in my pleasure as well. So that's a big one too.
Oh my goodness. So powerful. I love that. So, Victoria, if people want to work with you, if they want to learn more about you, where should they go to find you?
You can always find me on LinkedIn. I actually want to invite me to join me on LinkedIn, Victoria Honey on LinkedIn, and then message me for a free session, a free discovery session where you can have a customized session on perimenopause where I can just, hear you out and create a nice customized plan for you. You can join me on LinkedIn, Victoria Honey, or you can join me on my website at victoriahoney.com. You can also join me there as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, so this is the Cycle Starters podcast, and I always ask each of my guests the same question at the end of our conversation. So that question is, what are the cycles that you are starting in your lineages now?
That's the big one. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, take your time.
One thing I always tell myself, my kids all the time, I think it's not ingrained in them yet, is you can be all of you. Even I tell my cats when they moan about her, I'm like, she can be all of her. She can be all of the girl. She can be all of her. They can say, oh, she's rubbing on me or she did her crap somewhere. Let her be all of her. So
Mm,
I give them a mission to do that. You can be all of you. Let me be all of me. They always say, "Oh, mom, you're an African ghetto." You know, I like to wear this, kaftan with no bra on, and I just wear this and let it all out. Mom, you look like an African ghetto. I like, let me be all of me. Let me be all of me. That's the word that I always giving this out. Let me be all of me. I don't care if your friends are around. Okay, maybe I might change a bit, but like, because I don't feel embarrassed. Let me be all of me. So that's the one. Let them be all of them. Let all of us be all of us, no matter what. They're accepted. They are loved. They are celebrated in all of them.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. And you are glowing, you are shining. Your clients are so lucky to be able to work with you. Your daughters are so lucky to have you as a mother. And I'm sure you are also feeling very blessed to have two beautiful daughters in your life as well. So just thank you so much for being in dialogue with me about this really, really important topic. And, I'd love to have you back at some point because this is a big conversation. And I don't think we're at the point where people are tired of hearing it. I think really what's happening is that most people still don't know anything about perimenopause. So I definitely love to have you back. If you are interested in experiencing Victoria's workshop, please go to heatherrebeccawilson.com and sign up for the Astro Ancestral Healing Collective. Her workshop is in the resource library along with 20 plus other amazing workshops led by extremely talented practitioners, who've put just programs together to support you on your ancestral healing journey using so many different modalities. I'm really, really proud of it. I'm so proud of Victoria. I'm so thankful to you, Victoria, for leading that experience for us. I will put her website and ways to connect in the show notes. And yeah, that's it. So Victoria, thank you so much.
Honored, so honored. Such a pleasure to be here with your audience.
It's such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for being here. So everyone, we will see you next time on the Cycle Starters podcast. Take care. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Welcome to the Cycle Starters Sanctuary, beloved. I am so grateful you've chosen to join our sacred community of cycle starters and cosmic wisdom seekers. In this space, we come together to honor our ancestral lineages, work with astrological cycles for healing and growth, share our journeys in a supportive environment, and create lasting transformation together. So to help you feel at home, I've created this quick guide to getting started. So the first thing you're going to do is take a moment to set up your profile and share a bit about yourself. Then head over to our welcome circle, which is a topic you'll see on the side to introduce yourself to the community. Be sure to review our community guidelines. This is really important. Everything shared here is held in strict confidence, and we maintain a zero tolerance policy for any form of discrimination. There's much more about that in the community guidelines. And then finally, customize your notification preferences to stay connected. Remember, this is your sacred space for growth and healing, and I'll be here to guide you along the way, along with our amazing community of fellow cycle starters and seekers. So welcome home, dear one. Let's begin this beautiful journey together. I'll see you soon.